Welcome back.
What's going on, gang?
Dick and Steve's podcast.
Dick and Steve podcast. Let's go. I'm Nate Rose.
I'm David Piersaul.
Yeah, we some thieves out here. Okay. It always feels good to do this.
Ayeeee, what do you have planned?
This is a buffet.
It's a.
So
there's tax up here.
We're going to see how good you guys are at estimating. So you should have a stack of paper next to you and a marker. Go ahead and get those.
Oh shoot.
I
Okay.
did see this over here.
I'm going to tell you.
Dang, you needed all this paper.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I was trying to make it thicker so you guys had something to write on, but excuse me for trying to be considerate. There are 5 cups filled with different items. I'm going to give you a cup each round. You're going to look at the item. You're going to guess how many of that item are in the cup. You're going to write your guess down. I'm going to count backwards from 3. After I'm done, you guys are going to flip your answer around, show your answer. Whoever is closest is going to get a point. Whoever has the most points at the end of this game wins. The winner gets to choose a picture of the loser and post it on our Instagram page.
Oh shoot.
And post it on Thieves?
On the thieves page.
Dang. Okay.
Okay. I like
pick
that.
a picture from what though? Like from their own phone or something?
You can look at their phone, your phone, any photo that you wish.
You don't want to look at my phone,
I don't
brother.
yeah, because I'll be taking
Bro,
pictures
about
of everything,
half
bro.
of those are just,
Gooch photos.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Let's do it.
We're gonna do the thumbtacks.
All right. Here we go. Thumbtacks.
Let me see real quick. Possible.
Okay. Here we go.
Well, I always feel like I'm just gonna guess way too much. Okay.
Here we go. Actually, that was not that big.
All
right, I'm ready.
I think I underguessed.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
I said 56.
I said 28. I think I
The
underguessed.
correct answer is 70.
Oh, let's go. Let's
70
go.
in that? Okay,
That's crazy. That does not look like 70 at all.
No, but you got it. You definitely won on that. Okay, cool.
Okay, wait. Now, how many points? Is there like a point system here?
That's 1 point for you.
Okay, let's
1
go.
point. So there's a total of 5 points?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
5 points to be won.
All right. What's next?
Okay.
Turn me up.
Next, let's go with the Q-tips.
Q-tips?
Okay. Yeah, lift that mug up.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bro, chill out. Oh wow. Okay.
I can count
All right.
those,
All right.
actually.
All right. Here we go. I'm ready. Q-tips.
There's more than I think. I'm definitely not, okay, definitely 10 in there. So I know there's at least 10.
There is at least 10. I feel confident in that.
That's how I work on it.
Let's go. So then 11? Do I feel confident in that? I'm ready.
Got it.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah.
83.
122. 100.
I swear if Nate beats me
122.
at this game, it's just like, bro, what am I doing?
The correct answer is 112.
Turn
Wait,
me
wait.
up.
Oh yeah, you're
Turn
definitely
me
close.
up.
Damn it.
Hey David, quit sucking.
All right, come on now.
All right, here we go.
Okay, next. Next, we're going to do the gummy worms.
Wait, if he wins the next one, then do we have to complete the game?
We should.
Okay,
we
let's
should.
do it.
Because I want to beat you at all
But
5.
Dave,
I want a
there's
clean sweep.
A lot's riding on this guess.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, the gummy worms.
I'm just underguessing.
Ah. Ooh. All right. I don't know why I'm writing gummy worms up top. Like everybody can see this, but I just put the header on it.
All right, I swear if you get this one, bro. We're releasing the filler episode, the one game I actually win.
All right, I got it.
46.
72.
Okay. The number of gummy worms in the cup was 57.
I think that's it. Oh, hold up. Yeah, what's the math on that?
David's closer.
David's closer?
You see it?
David was away by 11, and you were away by like 15 seconds.
You see it?
Okay.
So we still in the
Okay.
cup.
Okay. Shoot.
This next one, though, still important for me.
The next 2 are still important for you.
Yeah. How many do you have again? 2?
I got 2 points.
Okay,
It's 2 to
good.
1.
Okay, let's do the rice.
Oh, man.
The rice one is like No joke.
All right.
You counted these, Leaky? What the heck? There you go.
I know, that's crazy.
All right. I got it. There's no way I'm right.
All right, here we go. 380.
400.
Wow.
You put 400?
Wow.
That's about to be more. Is it a 2 and 2 situation?
It's 340 or something crazy. 320.
Well, the amount of rice in the cup is 1,300.
Give me.
1,000?
You counted that though?
Yeah.
Okay, wait for a second.
That's
Wait for a second
crazy.
though. You won the game. Because you just counted 1,000 plus pieces of rice.
Yeah, those are 1,000 grains of rice. So you both.
Look at how little class you have, bro.
I think it's funny that like
You see, you
our
just crumple the
podcast studios
papers
in
up.
your house,
This is
so every time I throw something on the ground, you got to clean it up.
now
I
listen.
Just go home.
This is a good distinction between our personalities. You see how organized and just like clean everything is with me, and like you just crumple up everything that you touch and just throw it to the ground.
That's true. That's true.
Disrespect.
Everyone who knows us in their personal life knows
Dang.
the truth.
I guess they're really about to go stupid.
All right, we come.
Okay, the score right now
Oh.
is 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
So the macaroni's left.
So it all comes down to the elbow pasta.
Elbow pasta. Stay elbowed up.
Whew. Pressure's on.
I got this one though. I'm not worried about that. If there's one thing you know about me is I know how to count pasta. Hey, what's the remind me real quick, what's the okay, I got it. Okay, cool. I was just thinking about Stephen Hawking's equation for this specific. Let's see. Got it.
380.
200. This man.
The amount of pasta in the cup is 331.
Let's go! Let's go! Yeah. Hold on. Let me hit a little. Damn.
Dang it, dude.
Let me hit a little celebratory
What's
dance
the
right
punishment
quick.
though for this one? What's the punishment for this one?
No, I get to
I get to eat the gummies.
No, I get the post, bro. We talked
Oh,
about
the
this.
post. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you should just go ahead and look at photos and then let us know which one you posted.
Okay, hold on.
Screen.
All right. Okay, I got it.
Wait, can you show me?
Yeah. All right.
That's so funny.
Okay, perfect. Here, I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm gonna post it right now.
All right, can I keep one of these gummies now? Like real talk.
No.
Eat a thumbtack, bro.
Wow.
You rightfully deserve that one though.
Huh?
You rightfully deserve that one.
What, winning?
Yeah, because my guess was super off on that last one.
Well, you bodied me in the last game we played.
I did.
My grandma was.
She called you afterwards with PTSD from that call.
I don't know.
All right, bro.
We're over here like, why are we doing this with the microphones, bro? We smacking. Here, get it. Bro, this needs to be an ASMR clip.
So we went to go see Beau is Afraid this weekend. Me and Nate and Greg and Ayeeee, the whole podcast team. Check out some behind the scenes that we captured right before we went in.
Think about me and Nate, we was about to get plastered by a film by Ari Aster. Like, Beau might be afraid, but I ain't never scared.
If Beau's afraid, I'm afraid.
That's true, man. Beau is.
And that's the name of the movie.
But I don't really like seeing Hereditary, seeing Midsummer. He still has to prove himself to me. You know what I mean? Like,
We're about to witness a first-time Nerd Gummy Cluster experience.
hyping it up. You know what it smells like?
Nerds.
Fruit, like nerds. First one, let's get it.
go.
1 to 12 daggers.
1 to 12 daggers,
Hold on, give me
baby.
a second.
It's got to be a top 3. That and the mixed berry trolleys, but that's got to be a top 3.
That's gotta be top 3.
That's gotta
I gotta
be
get
top
one
3.
more just for
Yeah.
science. I'm actually really excited for this movie though.
Hey, David, shut up, dude. Nobody wants to hear you.
Kia Sportage Expert. Kia, movement that inspires.
Everyone.
Whoa.
I'm scared. Resting dad face back there.
We went and seen Beau is Afraid a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, Beau is Afraid. Maybe the weirdest movie I've ever seen. I mean, there's some weird movies out there.
There's some weird movies for sure. So Beau's Afraid is Ari Aster's new film, who made Hereditary, Midsommar.
Yep.
Midsommar. I don't know how to say it. But
I think it's Midsommar.
Sonar, yeah. I'm gonna get one more of these and I'm done. But yeah, general thoughts. What do you think?
Just generally, I think the movie was really long. I thought it was very unique. I thought that I don't know if I'd watch it again on my own accord, because there's some a lot of weird imagery, which I'm fine with weird imagery, but also it's just like I don't know. There was something that it didn't seem like it had as much of a, like the story was connected in a weird way. I feel like it was almost like he was just on this oblivious journey, and maybe I guess we as the viewer are also on that same oblivious journey of like we don't know what's going on, and Beau clearly doesn't know what's going on in any moment. He can't make decisions. Also,
watch
hold
it
on.
again because
Quick caveat: spoilers probably ahead. We're just going to talk about this movie, so if you haven't seen it, you can skip forward. Yeah.
So you don't think you'll watch it because of it's too long, or is it too much?
No, I just think that it's like I feel like one time's enough.
Okay.
I saw it. What do you think?
I think it's too long. I think the movie's too long. I can't say whether I like it or not like it, because I think it's the type of movie that deserves a second watch if you're really curious about trying to figure it out. And I'll probably do that just to do it. And probably even a third. I won't do it a third time, but I think it probably needs a third watch to figure it out. Like anyone who claims to know that movie right off the rip, I think that's so corny when people are like, "Oh yeah, I got it." No, you didn't. That movie, there's no way.
Yeah.
Too long for sure though. There's like room for 3-hour movies, Endgame, Avatar, where even those are like pushing it. But a movie that's so artistic, I mean, he can make whatever movie he wants.
Yeah.
It's his movie. But it's just like I think that whatever he was trying to tell probably could have been told in an hour.
I think I agree with that
less than
because like in a movie like Endgame, you have the through line in the story. It's all building to something, right? And I guess you could say that's the case with Beau's Afraid, but you don't really ever know. Like even up to the very last scene, you don't know where the ending is or like what the ending is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So it feels like you're just kind of sitting through this thing of like I don't know what's going on. But
I'll say this. I mean, if you were to like to say, okay, I want to get your actual opinion before I say anything on like,
okay,
you enjoy movie as an art. How does this fit into into that scene? Like, what is that?
Well, you know how we always talk about like certain things. There's a commercial viability on this end, and then there's like artistic integrity. So I mean, Avengers Endgame, right? And then on this hand, you have like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or something where it breaks traditional storytelling convention, or deals with something like maybe those are actually bad examples.
That's pretty good examples though.
All I'm saying is like for music, it's easy for me. Music, you have Drake and you have James Blake. You've got something that sounds really good and is appreciated by many. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have something that is creating something new that you've never heard before, but it's less palatable for your average person. This is definitely on the less palatable thing. Honestly, I think probably Hereditary and definitely Midsommar are less palatable for your average person. But
where does Beau's Afraid fit in that?
Yeah, it's pretty far. It's pretty far on that.
It's even more far, way further than.
It's further than Midsommar, I think.
Everything Everywhere All at Once as well. Well, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Because that actually had like it felt good. There were moments in that.
Right.
Man, okay. So I know you don't want to go super deep into this, but just what are some of the things that you picked up on in the film as far as the concept? There's a lot of speculation about what it's about. I have a couple thoughts. I know there's been some YouTubers that have kind of given their thoughts on it. I know you say you need a second watch, but what are some things that you just think it might be starting off?
I don't think the movie, I'm glad you said things, because I don't think the movie's trying to do one thing. It's trying to do multiple things, and it's doing it in such a convoluted way, but with so much care and detail. Like, for instance, I think that it definitely has this idea of indecisiveness the entire movie. And this is where the spoilers come into play. You have this person who is always, it seems as a generational thing has been passed down to where he doesn't really know whether to say yes or no, or whether he agrees or doesn't agree. He always has this. He can't make a decision, and it's all from the beginning. It's the mom is at. He's like he loses his keys in the door, and the mom asks him to come to where she's at and see her. And he's like, "What do you think I should do?" Like he just can't make these decisions, and that is shown throughout the movie multiple times, multiple different ways, to the point where even at the end of the movie, he's in that big Coliseum or like audience type place, he was in like there's like a whole jury going on.
Yeah,
they were judging no specific parts of his life. They were going, in this moment, he had to do this, and he chose to not do anything at all. And they did it for every single moment that it happened in the film.
It was also super irrational. Like when they were like, he decided to go tomorrow instead of today. But he was being so pressured into saying that.
Right.
You know?
It's something about that. It's something about, because...
It was like no actual rational person would have interpreted him as like, that as being like a strike against his mother. Yeah. Like he was very much trying for the, but.
Yeah, I think if I was to give my grand, like if I was trying to, I'm not going to act like I know what this movie's about because like I said, I need to watch it again. But if I was trying to give, based off what you said and give my whole, like what this movie's trying to do is that the movie, a movie when it teaches you a message is trying to tell you something. Usually you have two things. You have someone who's going through it, and then you have someone that represents the audience. I think that Ari Aster cut the audience part out on this one. And he was like, this person is indecisive and he's anxiety driven, right? And he doesn't give us the perspective to go, that is what he's trying to tell us. He's not giving us a reasonable person to kind of latch onto to teach us that. He's going, no, you're going to see the world how he sees it. Which is, he's anxiety driven and he's being judged for these things, even though he knows he's innocent. Yeah. And like his anxiety has ruined his life and to the point where it's completely devolved into madness, right? Yeah. And the reason it's so weird to us is because we're like, oh, like he didn't deserve this. Well, of course he didn't. And Beau doesn't think that either. Yeah. He doesn't think that at all. But we don't get that relief to go, oh wow. Like,
well, I would say he actually does a little bit because there's that theme of guilt. When the therapist is writing guilt down and things like that. I think that there's some part of him that. Like he's trying to distinguish because he's had such an abusive relationship with his mom. Like the mom has been this overprotective character, and he has such abuse as a result of this that he's scared of everything. He has anxiety about everything. He's been extremely sheltered, right? And I think somewhere mixed in there is like, he was treading this line of like, can I be independent? Like, I'm trying to, he wants to become an adult, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He is an adult, but like, he's trying to get away from that, but then he has a thing where it's like, well, what's my role with my mom? Like, should I be excited to go see her? You know what I'm saying?
That's true, and I just thought about something right now, like, based off what you were saying, and like, it leans right into Beau's kind of characteristics, which is, he did have one thing, and the thing he was most excited about, and it didn't require him to make a decision now, which was his most precious thing, which was waiting for Elaine. The whole entire time, he has this one goal in life, which is to like wait for Elaine, and he knew that gave him so much joy because he was like, I don't have to do anything right now. I just have to wait for her. It gave him purpose, which I thought was interesting. I was going to say something though, which is someone made this theory online of Beau is Afraid, which is like, I don't know if I agree with it because it doesn't seem to make sense, but it's kind of cool to think about, is that someone believes that everything is real up until the point of when he's in the bathtub after he finds out his mom has died, and that he's going to drown himself, and then dopamine is released, and then everything up until that point is just this dopamine release when you die. Yeah. And the boat flipping was like supposed to be like him actually being drowned in the tub. Like I thought that was, but I was like, well, how do you explain all the stuff before that? Yeah. Niggas running on the street to the people killing each other. Yeah. Anyways,
I don't think I have a total grasp, but I do have a lot of thoughts about. So for one, you have I think the core of the story is you have this narrative of the overprotective mother that has created. And it's actually counterintuitive, right? Because the mother's trying to protect the kid, but by not allowing him to like experience difficulty and like whatever, he's not prepared for that kind of stuff.
Anything at all.
Right? And that actually happens in real life. Like I mean, not to this extent. They're taking it to an extreme extent. But he's so afraid of everything because he's been coddled so much that he's unable to, like, be decisive because he doesn't want, he's, like, avoiding, you know, pain at all costs. Now, I think there's clearly a lot of sexual imagery throughout this entire thing. I think that the name of the hotel was, like, Erectus Ejectus or something like that. Like, you know, of course, we know about what was in the attic. You know, so I think that is Ari Aster playing on this, like, Sigmund Freud thing, right? So, like, Sigmund Freud talks a lot about, or, like, one of his quintessential things is that, like, basically little boys, like, they basically are sexually interested in their mothers because they're, like, this, like, and when they try to find a partner, you know what I'm saying, trying to find people that reflect your mother or whatever. We had this whole, like, theory about, like, very deep internal, you know what I'm saying, things. It's the first woman you love, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, so there's all this stuff, you know, and I'm not, like, somebody could speak a lot more to that.
Yeah.
But I think that this whole movie is about a mother or a mother-son relationship.
Part of the big section of the biggest idea.
Right,
movie,
right.
yeah.
And then I think there's this sexual through line, and so I think it's getting into this. It's very much a movie, I think, about overprotective moms. Now,
For sure.
how I interpret some of the crazy stuff that happens, I agree with what you're saying. I think with Beau, we are experiencing the world as Beau experiences it, sort of. I think that they actually took and made literal. They made his internal anxieties a literal manifestation. So, for example, like, you know, if you have a lot of anxiety, right? Okay, let's say you're taking a bath and you're closing your eyes and just a thought just pops into your head, like, what if somebody's standing over me right now? And then, like, you could just ignore it, but then you're like, wait, let me open my eyes to see. And if you know what I'm saying, it's never actually there. But, like, you know, in this movie, there's a dude just, like, above him, or like, oh, like, what if there's a brown recluse in my room that I'm not aware of and it bites me and kills me, and, like, or, you know, I think it's basically taking every little thought of anxiety that a person might have, and Ari Aster is just saying, like, no, let's just show let's entertain all of them.
Yeah.
Let's just make it a real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like even the keys, leaving the keys in the door, or leaving the door open with your stuff outside.
That, yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like that's a normal thing.
And there's no explanation for it.
Yeah. Exactly. And so it was like, oh, what if somebody steals my keys? Is like a thought that you might have just randomly. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's not super rational. But, like, you left your keys in the door and you left your door open in an apartment. Like, what if somebody comes by and steals my luggage? And then they actually just do that every single time he has a hint of anxiety.
You're right. Yeah, I think that's a part of it for sure. There's so many different themes. It's, like, hard to. Yeah. That's one of them, and then there's, like, the theme with like, how does that fit into some of the other ones, like the whole section of the movie where he's at this people's house, and they're, like, doing surgery on him. Yeah. It's like there's so much, like, it's like he's trying to do a lot. I will say this: I think that the movie is great in the sense of an artistic piece, but it doesn't, like, do everything. It doesn't do one thing really well. It does everything. It's just too much trying. It
does the strange thing really well.
It does the strange thing really well. I want to make a good point. And a point on this movie is that. So my dad told me a story about when he seen Pulp Fiction for the first time. He actually was alive to see the movie in theaters, and he said that he walked out. A lot of people walked out of the theater because they weren't hip to the idea of Tarantino style yet. They did the same thing with Reservoir Dogs. You know other movies they walked out of? That it's internationally known that people were asking for refunds for these specific movies? What? Fight Club. Wow. Which, think about Fight Club. Yeah. Fight Club is weird.
Fight Club is weird.
Fight Club is Beau is Afraid, but, like, different, in a different way. Yeah. Saving Private Ryan. Pulp Fiction. That's like, wild. These are all movies that people were like, this is doing too much. Yeah. And they were like, we're not, in 2001 A Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, which is like,
Clockwork Orange is a lot.
Right, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, these are movies that I think that, what Ari Aster, I think that we are seeing a modern day Kubrick. Because Stanley Kubrick made The Shining, he made 2001 Space Odyssey, he made Full Metal Jacket, he made Clockwork Orange, right? None of those movies, all those movies are super respected now. None of those movies at the time were super big, unless they had a big name behind it, like Stephen King and The Shining, right? But everyone solidifies Stanley Kubrick as, like, he's like a freaking Alfred Hitchcock of his time.
Yeah.
Like he's that big of a
Well,
director.
I think Ari for sure will have legendary status as a director by when all is said and done. I think it's a little bit hard for me because just because something is artistic and weird doesn't actually make it good.
You don't think this is pioneering?
No.
Anyway?
I do think it is.
Yeah.
I do think it is, and I think time will tell if it becomes, something as profoundly artistic as The Shining or genre, bending or moving. But
Time will tell. Yeah, it will for sure.
yeah, but that's the hard part though, because like I don't think any of us left there going like, I really enjoyed that movie. And I know that's not even like Hereditary, like that's a dreadful movie. You watch it, it's dreadful. But we left and we were like, that was awesome because I felt so dreadful. This movie, I didn't necessarily know how to feel. It kind of like, and it kind of cuts it, for me, it cuts a little bit against some of my views about art itself, which is like, I feel like good art makes you feel something specific. And
Right.
I think I just haven't really identified what feeling I'm getting from Beau is Afraid. And maybe that is cool. Maybe when I figure it out, maybe when I really sit with it, it clicks with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the one area where I'm like, I don't fully know how to interpret it because it's very clear that it's ambitious.
It's very clear it's ambitious.
It's ambitious. It's well made. There were some
Yeah.
beautiful shots in it. Like, I think most people's
amazing.
favorite part is probably going to be that entire animated sequence where
Mixed
he
media type part.
Yeah. I thought that was really dope. I also thought it was really sick when you remember when he ran out into the street and it had that like third person video game perspective where he's
Yes.
trying to decide which
it
place
kept
to
going.
go. Yeah, because
Yeah, so many
bro,
crazy
that was
moments.
fire, man.
I agree with you. Last thing, I think I always bring it back to Radiohead, right? Because Radiohead, no one goes, I'm bumping Radiohead at the club,
Yeah.
right? No one's like, oh, Radiohead. Like, no, I don't, there's some albums like In Rainbows or whatever that album is called. I'm like, I can tell what this album's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not vibing with Radiohead. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I'm not going, Radiohead's not good.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? Because
Facts.
obviously they're doing something
Yeah.
beyond the spectrum. Like they're doing something outside of music, but still like it's still music. Like it still lives in the art of music,
Mm-hmm.
but it's taking it to a different. I'm not even gonna say to a higher level, but it's taking a different perspective,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Same. I mean, have you seen 2001?
I actually haven't.
It's the same thing. It's like people know that this is one of the greatest sci-fis ever made because it was the first to ever do it. But essentially, like you watch the end of that movie, you're like, to this day, years later, and people don't have a true
Understanding.
Yes, and I don't know if anyone's here. Seen
I
it,
do
but
want to see it, so
you
don't
should
spoil
see
it.
it. But it's just like, okay, what did that? The movie's awesome. I enjoyed it. I know there's something there,
Mm-hmm.
but what did that mean?
Yeah. Well, I also like movies that'll leave it a little bit up for that.
Yeah.
And everything seems intentional. Because like
It seems intentional,
well,
yeah.
well, also you have to direct it this way. There's a reason. I don't think he was just doing.
He has a reason for sure.
Yeah. That's
No,
what I was
he
gonna
has a
say.
reason.
So, yeah, I think it's really artistic, man. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed it. What would you give it on a dagger rating?
I hate that. I hate just. We have to give it a rating. I'm gonna give it
12 daggers.
no.
No. Out of 12.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna give it a. On my first watch, I'm gonna give Beau is Afraid 7 daggers, and I'm gonna give it 7 daggers because time hasn't told the tale of Beau is
Yeah.
Afraid yet.
Yeah.
It may move up to 12 daggers for me after we understand it more.
I think I fully agree. I think I'm going to go 7 out of 12, and same thing. I think the more I sit with it, probably the more I'll appreciate it. But, then again, there are movies that were really weird and whatever that actually didn't
Yeah,
age gracefully for
that's
me.
true. Like Mother, for instance, this is Ari Aster's like doing Mother but better.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sweet.
7 daggers.
7 out of 12. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. On the topic of horror movies, I've got a rank for you. I want you to rank the top 3 most underrated horror films, because I know you like horror, and I know you're a weirdo that likes a bunch of niche films. You read a lot of Stephen King, so I know you're into...
Stephen King isn't necessarily niche, but I know what you mean. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
I just
not.
like
It's
horror, yeah.
just the quintessential...
Okay, so if we're ranking niche horror films, just top three.
Most underrated.
Most
horror
underrated,
films.
top three?
Yeah, top three.
Top three, most underrated, I got you.
Yeah.
So first one is Case 39. It's this movie where this, what do you call it when someone goes and checks up on the parents to make sure they're good parents? What is that called again?
Oh, like CPS, right?
Yeah.
Child Protective
Child
Services.
Protection. She works for Child Protection Services, and she goes and she hears that this family had put their daughter in the oven to kill her, and she goes there and she connects with the daughter so much that she ends up wanting to adopt the child instead of just leaving it up after the parents are arrested, of course. And it turns out that there's a reason they're putting their child in the oven, and the way that they set that movie up and the way that it's told is like I was like, it really encapsulates the feeling of entrapment. Second one, I'm gonna go with His House. It actually came out a couple years ago when we lived at 909. I like it because I haven't seen a movie deal with like African horror, which I don't know anything about, but like it's terrifying apparently. It's pretty much this family from Africa who goes through a tragic event in Africa, like a slaughter. Move to England or somewhere in Europe to start a new life. But you think that they're innocent and that they escaped and they lived, and you find out like that they weren't so innocent and that there's an African horror that came along with them. And it's like told in such a
I think I remember
terrifying.
seeing the trailer for that, actually.
It's on Netflix. It's Netflix original.
Yeah.
And so this one's not as underrated, but it's still there. It's called The Babadook. Have you seen it?
No, I've heard of that too, though.
Yeah. So The Babadook is.
You know, I don't really watch horror that much.
That's true. I forgot you don't. That's funny. You like Ari Aster so much.
I mean, Hereditary was one of those things where I watched it. I was like, I'm good with one watch, but also I'm glad I saw it because it was
so good.
Awesome.
Yeah. The Babadook is pretty much this mom and her son live in this house, and they're haunted by some type of, it seems like demonic presence, but it's really the way that they present the horrors of the film that is scary. It's the weird way that the monster kind of blends in with the walls. You just got to watch it to find out. The Babadook, definitely check it out. But that's my top three: Case 39, Babadook, and His House, which is more recent.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Bro, there's a lot of like little niche, underrated films, but just like with like anything that's like niche or underrated, it's usually low budget, so it's hard to make a good one. So that's why those three really, I think, shine. All right, guys, I just want to talk real quick. Me and Nate have a show called Up for Debate. It's a show where we hire some of our friends, also entertainers, who talk about mundane topics and the debate which one they think is better than the other. We had an episode come out recently with John, Chris, and Michael V, where they debate best movie snacks, popcorn versus candy. If you want to check it out, it's on our YouTube channel at Thieves.
Yo, candy has a more marketability for everybody. Popcorn's for adults. Okay, cool. Adults are boring. Candy is lit.
No, adults are accomplishing things.
When a kid is crying and having a tantrum, what do you give the kid? Popcorn?
A spanking.
No. Yes.
You've been to Bonnaroo, I haven't been, right?
Are we going this year?
I want to go. Uriah invited me, you invited me.
Let's go,
Let me
dude.
just get the ticket.
Yeah. We can also get them like day of.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I
Cool.
usually go down there.
So, you've been to Bonnaroo how many times now?
Oh, gosh. Maybe like 7. I'd actually have to go back and do it, but it's like 6, 7, somewhere in there.
A lot. You and Aliki go a lot. Well, I'm curious, like, as an artist as well, you kind of understand what it means to perform. I'm curious, like, at Bonnaroo specifically, what are your top 3 live Bonnaroo performances from any artist?
This one's going to be really hard because I'm going to have recency bias for sure, but I'm just going to put that in there as a caveat because there may have been other shows that I can't recall.
The comments will remind you real quick.
Yeah. Well, facts, but I mean also like, I've seen a lot of performances from people that were really into a particular artist, but I didn't see anything that was... Okay, anyway.
What's up?
All right, I'm going to, if I were to give a top 3, I'm going to put my number 3 as Chance the Rapper. I think it was maybe 2016. He had a full band on stage with like he had a horn section and everything.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, wow, this is a really, really good show. Like the music was super full. It was a late night show as well. And I watched it from the back.
You never told me about this.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, this is I couldn't have asked for any more. As far as like representing Chance the Rapper's music, I feel like his Bonnaroo performance was like...
It was there.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the sound was so full. The energy was crazy. So I just remember that one. Now these two are recent, but these shows blew me away. My number 2 is probably Machine Gun Kelly.
That was at Bonnaroo?
At Bonnaroo.
Damn
yeah,
it.
Machine Gun Kelly was there last year. And it just Machine Gun Kelly's performance reminded me like why people used to like rock bands in like the 80s.
In what way, though? Describe that to me. Like, what did he do?
He had everything. I was watching a superstar in action, and the reason I say that is you're talking about wardrobe. He had wardrobe changes.
He changed clothes in that?
Yeah, he had all these, like, it was just like different sections. It was like, okay, so if you're looking at everything, we start with fashion, right? Well, when his band members came out, each band member came out and they looked like the main artist. Like the drummer
They were
comes
all
out, dripped out, looked like completely, they look so unique. You know,
Right,
he had his guitar player, one of his guitar players was a woman. She came out, she had like all like this leather on and stuff and crazy. Every single person that came out looked like the artist until Machine Gun Kelly came out. You're like, how is he gonna top it? And then he comes out and it's just like, tops it, right? There's all these different movements that are planned in it, right? All these little choreographed moments. He does stuff, he walked through the crowd, he got up on a platform and performed there. They had guitar solos, they had pyrotechnics.
What about
they had stage design.
Did he have like I thought I seen a picture where he had like a shotgun as a mic one time.
Yeah.
Did he do something like that on that show?
Yep, his microphone stand, like everything is remarkable. He's got a pink helicopter on stage.
I didn't know he had a pink helicopter.
Yeah, well, in his actual shows, he like has it, he flies, like he's on top of it as it goes over the crowd. You couldn't do that at Bonnaroo because they have to have like fast changes and stuff, but yeah.
It's actually flying?
Like they rig it to where, not flying, but they have it on like cables. But not only that, man, like just the transitions and the moments, and like they do drum solos and they do guitar solos and they have like these like 4 or 5 minute outro pieces, and then somewhere in there he started going back to his rap stuff and just did some of his rap records where he's like, don't forget, I can rap.
Yeah.
And he was doing like, I mean, just the full-on performance. I was just watching it, and just from an artist perspective, I was like, this dude is operating at the highest level of stage performance by every metric.
MGK is a crazy case.
Machine Gun Kelly's, I'm sorry, not Machine Gun Kelly. Michael Jackson is like that too. Like if you go back and watch Michael Jackson, you're getting the dancing, you're getting the vocals, you've seen that where he like shoots out at the very beginning, like he like gets shot into
never seen that.
No, he comes out from the bottom of the stage, but it's not a slow rise. It like shoots him up, and there's sparks fly, and he like lands. And then when he lands, Michael Jackson, he stands there for like 2 minutes while literally 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 entire minutes, maybe more, and he's just standing there, not moving. The crowd's just going crazy, and then he starts singing, but like Michael Jackson would incorporate like even like magic and stuff into his thing, like the famous lean that he does.
Yeah, I forgot.
He
those did all that stuff on stage?
Yes. So the famous lean was he had shoes, custom shoes for this thing where he like slid his shoes at that moment into this thing on stage that locked him in. So his shoes were attached so that he could do this lean and just basically bring himself back up with his ankles.
Bro, that's another level.
But I
didn't know he was doing
nobody knew that it locked
a video effect that he was doing in one of the videos. I know he did it live.
No, he did it live. But nobody knew about the
practical effect.
Yeah, the practical effect of it. So he just does this thing and then he leans impossibly far. And then you're like,
what the heck?
Yeah. Exactly. And so I mean you can imagine watching that live and be like, I don't know what I just saw. It's not like he announced a magic trick.
Yeah, he didn't unveil he didn't unveil the trick. That's tight.
I have one more. So my number 1, and I'm putting this one number 1, not because it was higher stage production value than Machine Gun Kelly or whatever, but it was because the budget scales are so different. I feel like for the same, like this one went crazy. So Tobi Nwigwe, right?
My dad loves that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has the whole mint green thing. Obviously the stage was mint green. I've been following him for quite some time, like pretty early. If you've seen his music videos, I expected the show to be the same, and it was, where he had his wife and backup singers and like dancers and stuff on stage, all dressed in mint green. But this is the key thing to me and why this performance to me blew me away. He wasn't that popular. He's still becoming more popular, but it was I think it was at the This tent at Bonnaroo. The tent probably holds 1,800 people. There were only like 300 people at the show when he started. Like, just because people didn't know him, they weren't going there
I see what you're saying.
to see him because they just weren't aware. They were probably off doing some other,
Right.
And the first song he comes out to, there's no, it's straight to Fi-Fi, which is like his biggest
song, right.
Right, and it is so full. It is like hardcore. Like it is, I mean, a wall of sound. You're just like, oh, we are in it. Like we're in it.
Yeah.
And all I just remember is like throughout the course of this, he had these 3 gospel singers that were phenomenal, that they had different moments where they were singing certain stuff, or he had a part where he engaged with the crowd and just started having them try to do harmonies and things like that while he was making a song kind of on the spot. But the biggest moment, the big arc of this to me is that by the end of the show, thousands of people were in and around the tent.
He attracted people based off his performance.
Not only did he attract them, everybody's already standing, but he got the equivalent of like a 5-minute long standing ovation by the end of it, where he was just standing there and people were just cheering and screaming for 5 minutes
Imagine
straight.
being Toby, bro, and like knowing that 300 people are here, and then your performance was so electric.
The performance,
people were like, "Oh, people are coming."
That's
over.
exactly. It's not that's what was so impressive, is because it wasn't that, if an artist that performs, and and you're hearing songs that you like and whatever, you're going to be a little more inclined to be like, this show is awesome.
They wanted to see something new. Wow.
People were coming over because they were like, whatever is going on in this tent is special, and they watched it and they were like, that blew me away. And to blow people away without them not knowing the music is another level of stage performance. So for me, I have to put that up.
Don't
probably
let
as
that
my
man
number
get a
one.
budget.
Don't let that man get a. Well, he already has. I mean, you've seen what he's doing with a little bit more of a budget.
Yeah.
So he's going dumb, man, and he really, really respects the art. And I also love just the kind of content that he brings. He brought his kids out on stage. He was holding his kids at the end, like in each arm. You know what I'm saying?
His
and like
with him, yeah.
families with him on stage performing. Like, I mean, it was just beautiful, and it was crazy to see him win over the entire crowd. So that was very long-winded, but that's my.
That's super
my
dope.
3.
Yeah, Toby's just unreal. It's crazy. I haven't really listened to Toby that much. I've just seen a couple music videos.
Mm-hmm.
But is he not at Bonnaroo this year?
I don't think so.
Dang,
I don't think so, but
top 3. Let's go.
Yo, also, I would like to plug my song Action. We just dropped a music video for it. It's one of my favorite records that I've ever made. It's got 4 beat switch ups, a time signature change, a tempo change. I put Western whistles over an 808. It's crazy. There's vocal effects everywhere. Self-produced by your boy.
What?
One of my favorite records I've ever made. And so if you haven't checked it out, please go listen to that now. So Frank Ocean, highly anticipated, but Frank Ocean is very, very inconsistent with, he has a habit of not showing up. He does the Kanye thing where
Real
he
quick
just
though,
doesn't.
do you like Frank Ocean?
I used to love Frank Ocean's music. I don't think I connected with it as deeply as like his super fans have.
Right.
There was a period in high school where like Accurate Into Girl and like.
What about Blonde though? Like.
Yeah, no, I thought Blonde was really great. It's a flavor thing for me. It's just not my flavor. I don't gravitate towards it as much. It's one of those where like I listen to it and I'm like, I really appreciate this and it was good for a listen, but it's not something I find myself going back to.
I see.
But Frank Ocean, he obviously hasn't put music out in a long time. He was supposed to be at the Camp Flog Gnaw, remember? And Tyler, the Creator, to appease for him not showing up, had Drake come out. Remember, Drake got booed off a stage from the Frank Ocean fans.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
That's
But
crazy.
Frank Ocean,
His fans love
headlining
him.
Coachella, right? Comes in, and apparently from what I was seeing online, his performance was extremely lackluster. He didn't come out. He was very late to his stage performance, and he came out, and on some songs I think he was lip syncing. Some songs he was just like not doing a whole lot. Basically a very underwhelming performance. And then the second day, apparently he there was a statement put out that he had some kind of injury. He injured his ankle or something and wasn't going to be headlining the second day. And it got me thinking, like, here's my perspective. I make music. When I make music, it's a selfish process for me. And I'm not saying everybody has to have this. You can make music for other people. You can do whatever. I make stuff that I want to hear that doesn't exist. I'm like, I want to make the song that I think is the coolest that I would love to listen to.
Yeah.
And or tell the stories that I want to tell or whatever. But when I'm on stage, that's no longer about me. That's where I get to be maximally selfless because these are people that paid to see me, and the whole thing they want to do is have a good time seeing an artist that they like. So it has nothing to do with me. It's not about my glory of being on stage and all these people came to see me. It is about me doing a job and giving back to the fans that even allow me to have a music career in the first place. It's about saying they came here to have a good time. And if I'm not on my P's and Q's and if I don't deliver the best performance that I possibly can, that's a disservice to my fans. You know what I'm saying? This is a tangible way in which I can give back by just giving it my all on stage. Mm-hmm. And I've seen examples of artists in the past that, for example, RZA at Bonnaroo, he played the Super Jam and he got so drunk that he was wandering around stage and just going, yeah, over where his verse was supposed to be. And he tried to walk off stage and they're like, no, you got to get back on stage. Like we have a whole, Bonnaroo Super Jam is like, they get a bunch of artists from different genres and they do like RZA.
Really?
Yeah, but it was bad. I was watching it.
I want my tickets back, bro. I want a refund, bro.
And then another rapper, Lil White, played a show at Tempt. Lil White has a song that was popular called Oxycontin. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, he was drunk and he got to a point where he was like flipping off his fans and they were booing him, his own fans. He's got 300 people, right? And I'm like, bro, the fact that you have gotten this intoxicated, got on stage, and now you have created an environment where your fans are booing you, you are lucky that you even have a music career still, is how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? And with Frank Ocean, it doesn't matter. I don't care how big you are. That's just disrespectful. I just find that just straight, like one of the most disrespectful things you can do.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, and very ungrateful. So,
bro, like, look, none of us know Frank Ocean personally, but like, here's how I think about it. I was reading some comments on the clips of him just like performing a whack performance, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, all the comments are like, I bought tickets to see him because I heard he was headlining. Mm-hmm. Some of the comments are like, I heard some comments saying like, I hope he's okay. I know he's going through some mental struggles. Mm-hmm. But bro, I don't really vibe with that concept of like the artist is going through mental. Bro, when I worked at,
there's not a lot of artists that don't go through mental struggles.
Okay.
And you can still come out and do a good performance.
We don't get the president doesn't get that same.
Yeah.
The president has to be on 1,000% all the time. Obviously, he's on a bigger level than Frank Ocean, but like.
Wait, real quick to your point. He doesn't have to be on all the time. You're just playing Coachella.
He's not even like the president.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Look, show up for one day, bro.
I'm saying like it's like in the yeah, exactly, but in the form of a job though. Like Ayeeee doesn't just show up. She doesn't not show up to work like just because she's having a bad day. It's his job.
Yeah.
You have to, and I don't mess with that. I think, and I read this article because I heard Frank Ocean was working on the A24 film, and he said in the article, which, without the context of what's happening with Bonnaroo or Coachella, right? What happened at Coachella, like this may not have tied, but he said in the interview, he said he was working on an A24 film because music to him was always a form of like making money. It was always like he wanted to make money with it and then move on to other art. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like you don't even care about.
I think that's also really distasteful for him to say. Yeah,
but that was a quote directly from Frank Ocean in an article about him working on an A24 film.
Yeah,
that just proves to me that you don't care.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be working on an A24 film if it wasn't for the music.
Yeah. I think there's just unhinged ego, man. That's the worst parts of Kanye. Like the best parts of Kanye is that when he delivers an album, it's selfishly made for him to create an art piece or whatever, and we get to enjoy it. But Kanye does a bunch of stuff. We were at Rolling Loud, and Kanye basically popped up. You know, he had that beef with Kid Cudi, and you know, Kid Cudi got something thrown at him, hit in the head with a bottle on stage, and just left, right? And I think he was supposed to perform. Kanye decided not to perform, so they replaced him with Kid Cudi. But then Kanye, during Kid Cudi's set, popped up at Lil Durk's set at Rolling Loud to pull people away from it. And it was like, so, to me, it's like everybody wanted to see Kanye West at Rolling Loud. People bought tickets again. People spent thousands of dollars. Your average person, you know what I'm saying? They spent, you know, to drive down there or fly down there for Rolling Loud. They spent $1,000 or whatever.
About some beef, some petty beef between them.
Right,
like, bro, I'm here. I spent money. I'm here
to see Kanye West, and then how? First off, Kid Cudi's set was cut short because the Kanye beef. Kanye's super fans were like trashing him, right? So then we were like, oh well, we just don't get to watch Kid Cudi now. Yeah. Then we're all leaving because that was the last show. But then Kanye pops up at this other show, and I feel like it was just so disrespectful, bro. We were just like, this is just a complete lack of care for your fans. And Kanye's at a scale where it doesn't matter who he pisses off or whatever. It's like you're not going to listen to some of the greatest records of the past decade.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Live.
But still, that makes it even more so to me, where you have a duty and responsibility to like. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of artists, not all, but I think you're right. I think a lot of artists don't see that duty. They don't like. They got this convoluted idea that like the fans are kind of like roaches or like a flock of people just like wanting to see them. In paparazzi, I get it, it's annoying, but it's like, yo, like, it's like at some point down the line you forget. It's sad because I don't think Kanye was always there. I don't think Frank Ocean was probably always there. But it's like, and Frank Ocean had people in his corner like Tyler who was pissed that people blew Drake off the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? He was pissed. So obviously his viewpoint on how performances work and how live performances like how it's integrated with the ecosystem of having people come to see you and why that matters to an artist's brand and career, and why it's so important for them to show up and show out. Mm-hmm. He understands that, and Frank Ocean was in his corner for so long, Tyler's corner. So where did he? That's what I'm saying. Where did the line flip?
I mean, look, people.
Ocean?
I don't think there's a correlation between how much money you have and how good of a person you are. I think that you have poor people who are like vile people, and I think you have poor people who are
amazing people,
extremely altruistic, amazing people. And I think you have the same thing when you have money. I think you have, I think the more money you get, the bigger, the more money you get, the more you comes out. It's a reflection of your actual self.
I hear that, yeah.
And so, you know, I think if you have somebody who's an egomaniac that doesn't really care about people at the core, when you get the power, when you're that dude in the room, when you have the ability to do that, you just walk on people because you have power. You've given power to a person that, or, you know, power has been gained by a person that doesn't have all this internal stuff figured out. It actually went the opposite direction.
What do you say to someone? What do you say to the people who were good in their early days, who seemed like they had good intentions in their early days? Was that just a facade? Like, you don't think? Now, there's something you said about people being changed by the movie.
I think
you
can 100%. You can be changed. I mean, you're in new rooms. You're in different cultures. You develop different ways of going about things. There are some ways you have to adapt as you actually get bigger. There's an economy of scale. It's like, okay, I can't go to Walmart anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because Drake can't go to Walmart. So it's like, it's also Drake. I don't think it's rude of Drake to not take a photo with a fan that asks him for a photo. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Because
he gets all that.
You do that, and then now you have to take 150, 200 more photos. You're going to spend the next 2 hours there just doing this thing.
Yeah.
So I think some of that, I don't read into that as being like you have to give some grace for that side of things where you don't know what their life is actually like as far as having to deal with the pressures of fame and things like that.
For sure.
But there are ways to do it, and you see artists who do it, like where they, you get this power or whatever, and you do things like let me give you some examples of great people in the industry. We could talk about on the comedy side, right? We could talk personally about Josh Wolf.
Yes.
So we know Josh Wolf makes a great attempt at just giving back to people when it's not even a thing where he gets a return on it. He just wants to connect people and whatever. But you can look at somebody like Kevin Hart. Like, look how much Kevin Hart has given back and put on comedians and how much he pours back in. He's the top of the top. You know what I'm saying? And he pours back into, Tiffany Haddish and casts, people that he wants to elevate and brings people on tour. It's like these people exist. These are people who know how hard it was to build a career out of something.
And understand their position to change that.
Understand their position to change it and want to reward people who are also working hard that are good people. But then you have the flip side, and I just don't think there's necessarily a correlation. Like, do you feel like there's a correlation with power and how altruistic you are as a person?
No. I think, I agree with you. I think it's a reflection of, I think part of, like, there's so many factors that go into making a person who they are, of course. Yeah. And I think a big part of that is, I'll always say this, is that the people you have in your circle are going to reflect a lot of the choices that you make in the personality traits. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking from the perspective of someone like who has, like, say me and you were just like theoretically famous and all powerful, like we had a bunch of money or something.
Yeah.
We have the people,
theoretically.
Well, I'm powerful, but but like I'm thinking like, yo, like I know the people in my circle who are going to be like, nah, you're tripping, bro. Like you need to quit.
Yeah.
Like why are you talking about women that way? Why are you looking down on people that way? Why are you being dismissive? Mm-hmm. They're gonna call me out on it. We can't assume that everybody has the people in their corner.
Yeah.
If I just say randomly, I just got like I just started making music and became a huge artist. Mm-hmm. I would feel like you would be like, I started acting like I was on a higher level than people. I pulled a Frank Ocean. I feel like you would be like,
oh, for sure,
bro. Like, what are you doing, dog?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is not where you came from. This is not who you are. And that having that constant voice in your head from other people around you is what will keep you grounded.
I totally agree with you, and I think there's a lot to be said about your sphere of influence and things like that, but I also ultimately think it's on you, because there's a lot of people that don't have yes men around them that just refuse to take any feedback, or you know what I'm saying? If I tell you something that you're out of pocket for doing this and you're just like, no, I'm not, like I'll do whatever I want. Who are you?
How do you help someone like that, bro?
They gotta help themselves, bro.
That's crazy. Because I agree with you. You're right.
Yeah.
I love Kanye to death. I think his music is awesome. He's funny. He's entertaining. But that man, he's a hard person. I'm sure he's a hard person to chat with.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a hard person to give advice to. He's probably. I don't take advice from anyone less successful than me.
Yeah.
Who made that song? Was that Kanye?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways, but yeah, you're right. What's the theoretically like amazing approach to how an artist views performing for a live audience? Is it just absolute servitude? Like, that's what I'm trying to say to the audience. Like, what is that? Because
if an artist is like okay, I'm an artist that performs, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying if I were to think about how to best reward my fans from a live performance, what things go into that?
I'm asking you a specific perspective, like on would you have lip singing or not? Is that taking away from like what's the best? What makes the best performance in your opinion?
Oh, the things that make the best performance, in my opinion, is when you have, I think it's very multifaceted, and I think if you're speaking to every angle of it, it like continues to layer on. So like the most, I think the floor is really, really low for rappers, because a lot of rappers are just rapping over tracks where their vocals are under it, and it's just one person on stage with a microphone, and they're maybe not even saying all the lyrics, you know, and the most they're doing is this. And I just think that's there's nothing entertaining about that. Yeah. The only entertainment is the fact that people are getting to hear songs that they like from you. But I think that's whack. I don't think that makes you an entertainer. I think when you start to incorporate, like think about what people like to be entertained by on stage, outside of even music, right?
Theatrics.
People go to theater shows, right? So they plays, narrative. Okay, cool. That you can incorporate narrative into your thing. Like the Drake and Lil Wayne tour, Drake versus Lil Wayne, they had this entire thing where it was like, it was Drake, oh, and I'm the master of, like, I got the hip hop records, and then Drake would play a couple, and he goes, hold up, though, I got the hit records. And what happened, and then they're like, oh, no, but I'm definitely going to win because of the features, you know? Now, my feature game's crazy. No, you don't know what you're talking about.
They did that?
You don't, right?
That's
and
cool.
they go back and forth, but then in the middle, there's these, like, animations where they are it's like a story, it's like an anime story that they watch on screen and then comes back to them, but at the end it's like they combined forces. They were like, why are we doing this back and forth? We should combine forces. And then they do all their collaborative records at the end. So there's a narrative, right? There's a whole, like it's not just songs, you're getting an arc. So you can look at that. People go to magic shows. That's again the Michael Jackson thing.
It's practical effects.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You could look at Pink, you know, just flying, you know what I'm saying?
Wild stuff.
Flying across stage. You could
Stunts.
look at stunts. No, for real, stunts. I mean, you know, all those types of things. You know, people go to fashion shows. People watch fashion shows. Okay, cool. Have a crazy wardrobe.
Fits.
People want to hear. I mean, musicality. You know what I'm saying? There are people who, you know, I think if you add like a new rendition or instrumentation. Like John Bellion's amazing at this, right? If you go to a John Bellion concert, you're not going to hear any of his songs done the way that they are on the album. The live experience is completely different. They're all the same songs, but they sound completely different. They're live versions of them. They don't even follow like completely different.
Yeah.
which is awesome because then you only get a one-on-one experience. You don't hear this. And, you know, there's some trade-offs to that. But I think, you know, when you're looking at all the little things that go into making a great show, those are just some of them. The more you can add to that, the more moments you can put into it, the more remarkable things that you can pour into, the unexpected stuff, the sweeteners, you know, that's going to just continue to up it. And when you just layer those on and everything about it is remarkable, and then they're hearing the songs that they love, that's how you really capture people. That's how you get that Tobi Nwigwe effect or the Machine Gun Kelly effect. And, you know, it's kind of like to give you like an example for video. It's like, you know, if I were like, well, what makes a good movie? You would be like, well, you know, and then you would have tons of things that you could reference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even just big buckets, you could just say story, and you could just talk all about story for the whole time. Then you can talk about the cinematography. Then you could talk about the acting. Then you could talk about all these different things. So it's all of that.
It's a different
what really makes it amazing is when all those things come together. But yeah, stop performing over your songs with lyrics.
I'll go to Spotify for that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that a couple times if I don't have a performance track. But other than that, you know, add something extra. I always try to add extra stuff to my sets, and I'm trying to bridge that gap. I don't have a huge budget for shows, but like I just bought a loop machine, and I'm like, okay, like let me figure out how to use this loop machine and produce things live and get back into my freestyling bag, and maybe I can make that. That's new. That's a one-of-one experience, is come in there and I make a song live on the spot that has never been heard before for these people. They can see my process. Maybe they can give me a topic, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they can be the gang vocals in it. So
yeah.
I remember what I was going to say, and I want to get your take on this. As far as the ego and stuff, like artists, the people that are the most artistic tend to be people that do have a lot of internal struggles, right? Not always, but I think that a lot of times the most artistic people, you know, are troubled by certain things, and art is usually a release out of that. And so I do think that you might even have a higher concentration of people that end up going sour because their art took off before they had a chance to dig into themselves and fix themselves. You know what I'm saying? So you might even have a higher concentration in art specifically of, you know, people being egotistical. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not. You know, maybe you know, because you could see that in every other area of the world as well. But also, maybe it's just success. Maybe it's just success, period. Because like the people that do become ultra successful had to have traits that, you know what I'm saying?
I wonder if Michelangelo was egotistical. Think about it though, like we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I wonder there's like a book about that man.
I don't know.
He might have been walking around talking about some like, get off my face. Who knows what he really was like.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Thick as Thieves podcast with Rose David Elijah Piersaul. We are the thieves. We're thieves, right?
Thieves, I guess so.
Like, we don't steal stuff, but we
we'll be out here.
But we are thieves, bona fide.
Check it out on YouTube.
They're watching this on YouTube, David, probably.
Well, they can listen to it on Spotify too.
Okay, if you're listening on Spotify, watch
Apple
us.
Music, yeah. Peace.
See y'all.
Yeah, baby, need top 5 when I'm done going mental. Yeah, I'm locked in, you can peep my credential, man, the lab all winter. All summer, yeah, I went dumb, now I'm about